Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, former chairman of the committee, for yielding time to me. My other colleague from Texas, our conference secretary, one part of our leadership, my good friend Judge Carter, just said that he's not an expert on energy, but he certainly is an expert on common sense. And he got some of that expertise by talking to his constituents at that impromptu town hall meeting at the gas pump in Texas. And that's where we get some of our knowledge from the people that we represent. And they're mad as heck, and they're not going to take it anymore. And I am absolutely surprised, Mr. Speaker. I'm shocked that this new Democratic is apparently not listening to what the American people are saying. Back in April of 2006, then Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi released a statement saying, and I quote, "Democrats have a plan to lower gas prices." Well, Mr. Speaker, here we are tonight, June the 3rd, 2008, over 2 years after Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi now, announced that Democrats have this common sense plan to help bring down skyrocketing gas prices. The average retail price of gasoline is $3.99 for a gallon of regular. That's what I paid last night to fill up my car, 25-gallon tank. It cost me almost $100. Mr. Speaker, this is something that the American people can no longer afford. I don't know what this comprehensive plan the Speaker had in mind when she spoke to us in January of 2007 for the very first time. I don't know what that comprehensive plan was, but I darn sure know what the results of the plan was. The results is gasoline prices at the pump for regular have gone up more than $1.65 a gallon. Some plan, boy, the proof of the pudding indeed is in the eating. And you know, there's some things that that I want to point out in regard to some of the plans that the Democrats have had in regard to lowering these gas prices, and nationwide average $3.98 a gallon. In my district, $3.99. Here's some of the things that maybe they've proposed to bring down the price of a gallon of regular gasoline. Sue OPEC, you save nothing. Launch the 7th investigation into price gougers, you save nothing. Launch the 4th investigation into speculators, you save nothing. $20 billion in new taxes on oil producers, increasing the debt. Halt oil shipments to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, maybe save a nickel a gallon. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, the Republican plan to lower gas prices, bring United States offshore oil drilling, ANWR, saving anywhere from 70 cents to $1.60 a gallon, drilling in ANWR. My colleagues have talked about that. Probably an additional 1.5 million barrels of petroleum a day from that source. Bring United States deep water oil online, out of continental shelf is what we're referring to. That could save anywhere from 90 cents to $2.50 a gallon. Bring new oil refineries online. Our good friend from Ohio, Representative Latta, pointed out that we haven't had a new oil refinery or a nuclear power plant license in this country in over 30 years. That could save 15 to 45 cents a gallon. Cut earmarks to fund a gas tax holiday. That could save 18 cents a gallon. And then, again, we agree with the Democrats on this one. Halt the oil shipment to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, saving a nickel a gallon. Our plan, the Republican plan, my colleagues, in a very conservative way, would save at least $1.98 a gallon. $1.98 a gallon. The Democrat plan, at most, a nickel a gallon. Well, let me just tell you one thing that they did, the Democratic majority, Mr. Speaker, in their energy bill of 2007. There is a section in that bill, a section called 526. And basically what it says is no agency of the federal government No agency of the federal government can utilize a source of energy production that creates a bigger carbon footprint than conventional fuel, conventional gasoline and diesel fuel. They are not, absolutely not permitted to do that. Now, I want, Mr. Speaker, and all of my colleagues, I want you to think about the consequence of that. The federal government, on an annual basis, utilizes something like 480,000 barrels of refined petroleum products. 480,000 barrels. I'm sorry, that's a day. I said annually. That's a day, 400 barrels. And which branch of the federal government uses the most of that? Well, obviously, the Department of Defense. In which branch of the Department of Defense, which service branch uses the most of that? The United States Air Force, flying all the platforms that we have to maintain the security of this country. Almost 480,000 barrels. It is estimated, Mr. Speaker, that the Air Force will spend an additional $9 billion for that fuel in the year 2008, fiscal year 2008, because of these rapidly increasing prices of oil. Now, that bill, though, says they can't go out and utilize anything other than that liquid petroleum we all think about bubbling up out of the ground. Yet in this country, my friend from Texas referred to it, Representative Carter, something called shale oil that his grandfather told him about. Shale oil, Mr. Speaker, is mainly in the West, in several western states, and the total amount of additional petroleum that could be gotten from that shale oil is something like 3 trillion barrels of refined products. And yet we are not allowing the agencies, our federal government, to utilize these sources. Tomorrow in the Science Committee, of which I am a member, the NASA subcommittee will be marking up their reauthorization of NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. They do research on shale oil, on oil sands, another product that's very plentiful in Canada. A lot of oil could be gotten from that. They're doing that research. They're sharing that research with the Department of Defense, and yet they're not able to utilize any of that additional oil. The amount that we could get from shale oil is equivalent to the amount that we have probably utilized in the world over the last 100 years. That's how much capacity we're talking about. But those are the sort of things that we can do to bring down the price. I could go on, but the gentleman's been very generous with his time, and I want to yield back to him. But we need a comprehensive plan. It includes nuclear. It includes the use of these alternative sources of petroleum products like oil, sand, and shale oil. And until we get together and do this on a bipartisan basis, the American public is going to continue to suffer. And I yield back to the...
I thank my